Welcome to the Unfriendly Black Hotties, the podcast where we don't apologize for taking up space, speaking our truth, or getting a little nasty. Let's get down to the nitty gritty with your favorite Black femmes that have too much to say and zero time for respectability politics. Around here, we're soft and sharp, hot and unfriendly, depending on the day. And today is a Black ass episode. We're discussing our Blackness, womanhood, and what it means to find community amongst each other. We will also discuss why saying Black is not a dirty word, and you, the listener, should be able to say it without a whisper or reservation. Let's get into it, but before we do, let's meet today's hotties. Everybody, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Absolutely, positively. I am Whips, and let's see, what do y'all want to know about me? I like long walks on the beach and pissing off the patriarchy.
No.
I'm Summer.
You like big butts?
And I cannot lie. But
there it is.
I love it.
Yo, I'm Trisha Cheeks, and I'm a Gemini. A May Gemini, if you were wondering.
That's important.
I was like, does that have a
There are clear distinctions.
Okay.
I'm Regina Starr, and I'm a Virgo. I don't know. I didn't know we were doing star signs, but
well, I didn't have anything interesting, honestly.
Same.
Okay, well, I'm Doc Dubs, your sometimes sort of resident researcher and a sarcastic Sagittarius.
As most Sagittariuses are.
I'm a Cancer, by the way. I'll throw that in there.
Yeah, we should have just kept it at star sign.
Alrighty. So let's get into why this topic and why today. All of us here are Black women. And I wanted this topic specifically for our second episode for two reasons. We all in this space, in this audio erotica bookish space, are a very, very small micro community inside of this large macro community of, for lack of a better term, white people. And in that, we are finding each other in ways that I was not expecting to find a group of women. So today I wanted to talk about the beautiful parts of being Black, beautiful parts of being a Black woman, and the stressors we all face. So more often than not, the stress that we face causes a very negative effect on us, particularly as Black women. It's chronic, it's ongoing. And as a result, it affects our bodies in a multitude of ways, unfortunately. So according to research submitted to the Women's Health Report in 2022, studies have observed that Black women may be excessively burdened by physiological impacts of chronic stress caused by health disparities associated with chronic stressors, including discrimination, neighborhood stress, daily stress, family stress, acculturative stress, environmental stress, and maternal stress, whether you're a mother or not. We are likely to suffer the twofold consequences of social stress resulting from interactions between racial and gender discrimination, compounded by health and social economic disparities. And this may ultimately contribute to an increase in disease manifestation. Now, as Black women, we know it is particularly hard to speak to medical professionals and get straightforward answers. As a result, Black women's bodies may produce more cortisol continually over time due to that stress, and long-term exposure to that elevated cortisol can and does increase Black women's risk of being diagnosed or even misdiagnosed or underdiagnosed in areas such as anxiety, depression, ADHD, hypertension, and autism. There are more statistics, there are more conditions that we are often underdiagnosed or misdiagnosed in, but those are the top ones that came up in each study that I looked at. So the reason I wanted to start with these stress statistics is because I want to make sure that we are making self-care for Black women a priority. Oftentimes, that self care does include reading books, whether they are smutty or not, and listening to audio erotica. It is okay for us to be selfish. Self care should not be considered a selfish act, but for some reason it is. And we should not be sidelined or maligned in any way when we try to take care of ourselves first.
Amen.
Snaps.
Hallelujah.
All of that.
Hallelujah.
So we've got 3 segments for you all today. Segment 1, we're talking about what we love about being Black women. Segment 2, what we love about being Black in general. And segment 3, how we'd like to be handled as Black women, whether it's in this space, out in the real world, or just in general, what we like to see from people in our lives and outside of our lives that would like to consider themselves, you can't see my fingers right now, but allies, I'm doing air quotes, and what that means to be, again, air quotes, in community with people that are not Black, to be frank. So I want to get started with, and anyone can jump in and answer this first question, but what do you love about being a Black woman?
Oh my gosh, what don't I love about being a Black woman? Honestly, I love the universal nuances about being a Black woman. Like when I see another Black woman, like when we are out, like it's just this instant, almost like I see you, because we live in a society, in a world where people either over sexualize us or treat us like collectibles in some form or fashion. And to lock eyes with another Black woman, no matter what kind of day I'm having, and to be seen by someone who truly understands this unique, sometimes dangerous and beautiful experience of being a Black woman, especially in the US, I think that's one of the things that I love most about being a Black woman.
I love the versatility we have with our presentation, especially. I change my braids up all the time. I almost exclusively wear braids, and I love just how versatile my hair is. I'm able to switch between styles if I want to wear my fro out, or if I want to do braids in any possible way, or if I decide, fuck it, I'm wearing a wig today, like whatever it is. The versatility and how we always make it look good. It always gonna look good regardless.
We really do. It's almost like a built-in self-care. Like having to take care of our hair, to me, it's like an ultimate act of self-care, and I get to decide on how I'm gonna rock it.
And it's taken a while for me personally, because I didn't grow up natural. I went natural in the early 2020s, but it was a journey. It was a journey to get here, but I've just found so much deep love and beauty within myself through my hair, just learning to love it every day and go with it and change my styles and fully embrace it. So
yeah, I love that. I think I went natural. It was like the early 2000s, because it was right before I graduated from high school. And I remember scouring the internet, and I found YouTube, and I came across Allie Kay, who I still use for my natural hair products, like her. And there's another one, is it Naturally 85? And I remember devouring their videos to learn how to properly care for my hair. And it was a whole experience.
Something that I love about being a Black woman, and I think, it also goes hand in hand about what I love about being Black, but specifically as a Black woman, is that I think there's just such a musicality to us. Like we're just like a very expressive kind of person. And like, I don't think, like, it doesn't matter if you're introverted or extroverted, like when we get around each other, like, we kind of just, it's almost like we just kind of dance to the rhythm of the same beat. And I don't know, I just always feel so myself when I'm surrounded by Black women. Because I come from a family that's made up of mostly Black women. I mean, there's very few amount of men in my family, because people just, every time I get a new cousin, it's more than likely going to be a girl.
Mhm.
And so growing up in that type of environment, I just love having Black women friends because that's what I grew up around, and that's what I'm used to. And so, yeah, I just think, we're just a unique, beautiful type of people, and we're emulated, but people, they can't do us like we do us. And I think that's just so special.
Heavy on
And like
that.
always
Try.
kind of, whether it's our body parts, whether it's our hair, like they always try to emulate it, but it can never be duplicated.
I wish I had a similar experience as you all did. Like I mean, obviously I grew up with cousins and I grew up in the South, but like that that sisterhood or the having role models that were also Black around me that like inspired me. I mean, I think I had it when I was younger, but like from I guess I want to say like early elementary school up until the end of high school, I didn't really have it. And I think that's something that makes me appreciate it even more, even in the space that we're in now. Like I love rocking with y'all. So it's like that
I
having
agree.
that space is really dope because I went so long without having it and I thought, man, it must be me. Like why don't I have this? And like I tried to get close to people when I was like in middle school and that just ended in disaster. I got bullied a lot in high school and even in middle school too, to the point where I stopped seeking out those friendships and I just watched other people have them from afar and I was like, yeah, it's definitely me. Because again, being an awkward fat Black girl in the South who listened to like different types of music and I just read a lot and it was awkward all the way all the way until like I want to say my sophomore year of college. I just didn't try again. So to be in this space and have that those connections are everything.
Yeah.
I had a similar experience going to school. It
Mhm.
definitely wasn't always a walk in the park, but I think that as I've gotten older, I've kind of understood why, you know, certain experiences that I had in school happened. And I think that that this leads into another thing that I love about being a Black woman is that we do a lot of like inner reflection, inner self reflect. What's the word I'm looking for?
What
I think you're
self-reflection?
right. Self-reflection
Yeah,
sounds right.
self-reflection.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think a lot
Self-discovery,
self
reflect,
discovery. And I think a lot of us like we're deep into healing, and I think I could have grown like having the experiences that I had in middle school and high school could have led me down a very different path. I could have like we all could have, been very um closed off to making connections with other Black women just based off experiences that we had. But I
Mhm.
think all of us like I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense, but
We chose
we
ourselves. Like we
we chose
chose.
Yeah.
ourselves, and we still choose ourselves no matter what happens, no matter what
Mhm.
experiences that we have. And I think as a collective, I think there's just this push towards healing and togetherness and unity that I just find very beautiful, and I don't see that amongst any other group. Like,
Mhm.
especially
Yeah.
if we think about like this past election, we all kind of Black women kind of just moved in the same accord. So I
Mhm.
think, um, yeah, it was definitely rough growing up in school. Like family, not so much. I had cousins and things like that, but definitely in school.
I
So yeah, I
wish.
do,
I
I
wish.
I um, do relate to you in that experience. But I think
I
My
wish. I was
cousins,
getting it from all sides. Cousins,
cousins
sisters,
were my bullies too.
yeah, everybody, they were getting their licks in and to the point where I just kind of withdrew from everybody. And
Right.
I never hated myself for it, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I was curious, like, what was it about me that made them feel like it was okay to be that way towards me? And then, like, in high school, slowly starting to come out of that shell. Not enough, but like, still, I talk to people and stuff like that, but like, I never let anyone get that close again after that. And it's like, the more I spoke up for myself, the worse it got. and
Mhm.
then like rediscovering my voice again after so many years of like hiding away from people. I never once didn't like myself for being Black. Like, and it's wild to me that people would make fun of me for being Black. Like, I was a very logical kid to the point where I was like, why would you make fun of something like this? And like, I would just look at my hand and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm Black, and where are we going with this?
Mhm.
And it's just wild that I never let that make me dislike myself. Like, I couldn't imagine hating myself that much.
It's a good thing because
I
Yeah.
don't know
mean,
how,
when
but
I encounter people who clearly hate their Blackness, it's a very sad thing.
yeah.
That's why
Because
one thing I like about our community is that whatever work we've done on ourselves to get to a place of happiness, we like to see our peers and our folks, especially other Black women, thrive the same way, especially if we know they're struggling. And I think that's what makes me really glad that, you know, I chose this crew to fuck with and y'all chose me to fuck with, because we have so many similar experiences that it's just so beautiful to finally have a group of Black girlfriends. Because growing up for me, it was just like my cousins were my bullies. Now we're cool, but I don't know why they wanted to pick on me because I love
Well, I
Barney.
don't fuck with any of them no more. Y'all
Um
lit for me.
yeah. So and then most of my friends growing up were oddly enough white boys. I don't know why.
Same. I don't know why. Even like as an
and that,
adult,
yeah,
and I was like, who am I?
that's
Like,
just so interesting to me because I know like a few people in this group grew up in the South, and like we all as a northerner, we always hear about, oh, most Black people are down South. So like I always figured it would be easier to have Black friends if
White
you lived
people
in the
love me,
South.
dude. I don't know why, man.
yeah.
I
Because
don't know why.
I grew up in
It's
an
the
all Black
accent, I think.
neighborhood. I think
Yeah.
because where I live, it's very segregated. To this day, people wouldn't call it that, but it is very much segregated. Um, and so, like, it wasn't uncommon to have all Black neighborhoods and all white neighborhoods. And if you lived in a white neighborhood and you were Black, you either came from like a particular social class or like
You're new to the
or
area.
you new to the area, or you were different ethnicity, like within the Black diaspora. Because a lot of times I grew up all around, like I'm African American. I grew up around other African Americans, and when I went to law school, I met somebody who was Nigerian American, and he was from where I'm from, and I asked him, I was like, well, where are all the people? I've never met anybody else from the diaspora in this city. Like, where do you all live? And he was like, oh, we live out in the suburbs, and I was like, oh, okay. So like, but it was just it's Black people kind of just stuck together where I'm from. So anytime I hear like y'all talk about your experiences of having white friends, I didn't have white friends until I think college. That was the first time I made like an actual close white friend. Um, but yeah, I just find that so interesting.
Well, no, I think
Mike?
because I grew up poor, let's be clear, like below the poverty line in the South, and everywhere when I grew up, like everyone was either other poor white people, Creole or Spanish. Like there was
Yep.
just a mixture of us. That was it. But like I don't know why, but like since like high school, white boys always fucked with me without question, and it was so jarring at
Can't
first
get them to leave you
growing
alone.
up, you would always hear like my cousins or like my aunts and uncles say horrible things about white people. But they were the ones that would always stick up for me. They would laugh at my jokes, and that's when I realized I was funny, and like just
Exactly.
them stuff. And it was just like the Black people that grew up with me, they were like, "Oh, you want to be and call me names and all this stuff," and they're just like, "Yo, why you giving her shit for being herself?" And it just after that, I was just like, you know what? Fine, that's just how it's gonna be. That's how it's gonna
Yeah.
be. I still like me, like personally, I had
Yeah.
nothing except hatred, but it was just wild how that turned out.
I think my experience is kind of the same, but kind of opposite from a lot of you. So the area I grew up in, at least the county I grew up in, it was very diverse. At least in the 90s, it was. So when I was in elementary school, in middle school, I had classmates that were white, Indian, Hispanic. One of my best friends was Puerto Rican. Another one of my best friends, she was Sri Lankan Tamil. And by the time we all were, because we had to apply to high school where I grew up, especially if you were going into a magnet program. So the area high school was known as an all-Black high school. and no one's parents that were not Black wanted their kids to go to that high school. So their kids, all of the white kids, the Hispanic kids, the Nigerians, the Ghanaians, the Cameroonians, the everybody, they all had their kids bused elsewhere.
Wow.
From this
Even
school.
Nigerian kids, like really, like
Yeah. They had them all bused elsewhere. And this high school, this quote unquote all Black high school, was a magnet high school.
Okay, that's wild to me because I remember magnet schools coming up and everybody wanted their kid in a magnet school.
They did, but they just didn't want them in that school. So I was fine. Me, my brother, my sister, we all went to that same high school. And I was applying to the really like overtaxing science magnet, which meant I was taking at least 4 additional science classes than anyone else from freshman year to senior year.
This makes sense.
I was insane. I was insane.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, you are. Crazy as fuck. Yeah, go ahead.
Now you're smarty pants.
Yeah, exactly. But this was the interesting part, though. They were getting up at like 4 or 5 in the morning to catch the bus from in front of that school to go hour and a half away to a different magnet high school, but had to get on that same bus to come back to our side of the county, to the house or the apartment that they were living in on our side of the county. So you were still surrounded by the same people you were trying to get your children away from.
Yeah, you just alienate them in a way, I think.
Exactly. So it was like this weird split. And at that point, we all just kind of were like, all right, well, it's like I saw it happen with my sister and her friends. I saw it happen with my brother and his friends. My brother's 2 years older than me, so it was a little bit closer than me and my sister. But like once it started to happen, once we started to see where everybody in our middle school was applying to school, like I was in 6th grade, he was in 8th. So by the time he was applying for his high schools and his friends were like only 3 of his close best friends were applying to the magnet high school up the street, and everyone else was going elsewhere. And it became this weird little split between Black American people and then everyone else. And
they
none of us
early with the divide and conquer.
Exactly. Not a single one of us made anybody feel bad for wanting to go elsewhere to school. However, we were made to feel bad for staying and going to the local high school, even though we were just as smart, we were just as driven. We were literally just sitting next to you in these honors classes. And now for some reason, because we stayed at this school, this Black school, we were considered dumber.
It's kind of like in the 90s that people really thought it was a flex to send their kids to these private schools and schools other than all Black schools. And it's like now you talk to some of those kids now and they talk about how that kind of fueled the way that they ended up feeling about themselves.
Yeah.
Because, like it really did a number on a lot of them. Wow.
Yeah. So it created this weird and nice little connected bubble for us. Like we knew that by the time us 6th graders made it to 7th and 8th grade, we all knew like this set of the classroom will be gone because we've seen it happen with our older siblings and our cousins. So it wasn't like we alienated those kids, but those kids started to alienate us. So we created this nice little connected bubble honoring and celebrating our Blackness. I think that 6th grade year was the first time I had like unsarcastically celebrated Kwanzaa and Juneteenth. And I say unsarcastically because there was a lot of times where people would be like, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. And I'd be like, Happy Kwanzaa. Or somebody would be like, oh, where are you going for 4th of July? And I'd be like, oh, well, what are you doing for Juneteenth? Like, I would snap back like that because I'm like,
you're my favorite person.
You're skipping over things.
Fucking great.
And I'm like, you're in this area where it's a ton of Black people. Yeah, you're here too, but don't skip the holidays. Yeah, I celebrate Christmas too, but don't skip my stuff.
Even though you probably would have been like a senior when I was in 9th grade, I feel like we would have been friends.
Yeah. I think I would have been friends with all of y'all in high school.
I don't know. I was so done with people making fun of me just because of me being in the room. It was just like, okay. But now that I'm older, I have to say, I think it is because they saw something in me and it just was not going to be shook free, and they felt like they had to dampen it to really dim my light because I
Mhm.
still have people talk shit about me in rooms, and I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I just
Why? I
think
just so
I just
confused when
had to
people do that.
learn. I've just had to learn that people are miserable for
Yeah,
whatever reason,
Yeah.
and it's less about you, and it's more about whatever
they
they've
were
had
going through
told to
because we were
themselves.
all black, we were all
Or
poor.
yeah,
Like,
Right. But at the
what?
time it was difficult. But at the time
Mhm.
I was young and I was just not understanding where the negative energy came from because I
At
was just doing
all.
me. I was just doing me. I was trying to
Yeah.
get through, finish my classes, go to band practice, whatever. Like
Mhm.
nobody, so there was
Hey,
I
band
didn't
nerd.
understand that. Yeah, band
Of
geeksy
course, we're
way.
all music geeks.
yeah. I was in orchestra.
Roots.
I played the trombone and trumpet, but
I
Voice
played the
major.
clarinet. I played the clarinet, tuba, and trumpet.
I
Oh,
played the
that's pretty
guitar.
neat.
I was like one of the first like kids in my middle school to play the guitar because me getting picked on wasn't enough. I had to be in a room full of white guys and Spanish kids playing the guitar.
Yo, our legacy is to rip up the guitar, though. I
Yes,
mean,
Mhm.
Sister Rosetta,
you
I
know what I
get
mean?
it.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Look, you were
You
talking to a
gotta,
girl that was in Future Farmers of America and 4-H.
Oh
I
God.
hey,
absolutely I love that you were in those. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Because we
so
didn't
you're
even
gonna
have those
help me
opportunities.
start my cow farm.
Okay.
Oh, of
Was
course.
anybody in Battle of the Books?
No.
I've
Okay,
never
Yes.
heard
not
that.
that I'm trying to
I
nerd
didn't
up
even still
anybody,
had
but
that.
like
Oh,
fourth
I'm a
grade.
lifelong accelerated reader winner. I went to all the pizza parties, girl.
Listen,
I think that's how it
all this
started. One pizza
all,
party at a time, and I ended up on Battle of the
And
Books.
I'm pretty sure the first time I had an orgasm standing up was when I went into my first Scholastic book fair. I was like, this what love is? This what love is?
Oh,
Oh my
has to
gosh.
be it. Like this has to be what love is.
Look, the way you would walk into that Scholastic Book Fair when you got that surprise extra 10,
extra
$15, maybe even like
allowance.
a full $20
Your
bill.
your grandma
The
gave
way
you
you
an
would
extra 20 and
Mhm.
your
Yeah.
grandpa gave you an extra 20. You're like, bitch,
It,
I got $40. Let's go.
it had to line up.
exactly.
It had to line up with the fair though. Like if I wasn't getting
Mhm.
that surprise kitty check before the book fair, I wasn't getting shit.
Oh gosh,
No.
I never had money for the fair. Never had
I
money.
know.
And I would just
It was
kind of sit back and watch everybody else spend their money, and I would just
right.
like pick out the things that I
yeah,
would want to get for
That's
myself, and I would just kind of look like, oh,
I
that's
okay.
just
what I
hit up
right.
did.
I just hit up my
I only
mama
got
on
lucky.
payday week.
I only
Mm-mm.
got
I
lucky
knew
like
not to
once
ask
or
for
twice.
money. Listen, there were
But
like what 6 kids in that house, and like maybe
Yeah.
2 adults. There was no money for books. I got all my books
Yeah.
from the library. I didn't
I
dare
went
buy.
to the library a lot too.
I did go to the library, but
Yeah.
I also I loved buying books if I could, but it was
Uh,
but I'm the same as you.
yeah.
I didn't have it all the time and I was lucky when
Mhm.
I did have it, but every other time it was like, oh, I'm just going to look through the catalog and pray
Yeah.
that,
And like I
Yeah,
would
pray
ask
that
my
I have
friends to
it.
like keep the attention off of me, like the few people that would talk to me, I'd be like, "Oh, so what did you get?" Like immediately take the conversation off the fact that I did not get anything. Like I
Right.
just knew
Mhm.
not to ask for money for that because I probably would have got popped in the mouth. Like, what you mean you
Hmm.
want money to buy books and pencils? Absolutely not.
That's usually what it was. Like
Yeah.
there wasn't any extra money to do that kind of stuff, but I
Mhm.
did take the flyer and circle my little
Yeah.
wish list, just in
Yeah.
case I was blessed
Mhm.
Yeah.
beforehand, but it
So
never happened.
yeah, our deal always was like every other week we would do like Blockbuster and pizza.
Mhm.
So if the
Oh.
book fair was coming up, my
Mhm.
mom would be like, well, this means you're missing Blockbuster and pizza for like the next month if you really want the Scholastic Book Fair stuff because it's expensive. So she would go through the Scholastic catalog with us. She would take out all of the pages that were posters,
Mhm.
those like little lock journal thingies, anything that was considered junk to her. She would
Oh
take
wow.
those pages out. You're not allowed
Mhm.
to have those things. So just the books. And she's like, we can buy pencils from like Staples, so you don't need that junk. Or maybe like comic books, because my brother loves comic books. So
Mhm.
those were the only pages that were left in the book. So she'd be like, all right, circle 2 things. We'd circle our 2 things. At this point, my sister's 7 years older than me, so she was beyond the Scholastic Book Fair. But she she would like help us pick out the stuff that wouldn't get us in trouble. Like one
Oh,
thing that was academic, and then the
looking
other
out.
thing that was just like not at all academic, but we could slide it by.
Mhm.
And she'd be like, all right, add it up, tell me how much it is. This is how much Blockbuster and pizza you're not getting.
Oh wow.
So then the
I
three of
like
us
mine
would
a bit
confirm.
better.
Yeah,
That's
she was
efficient,
like,
though.
That's
no,
heartbreaking.
yeah, the three of us, she would be like, so like talk it amongst yourselves, figure it out, because this means she's not getting pizza and Blockbusters and she's older. And if she's okay with that,
it kind of helps you now as an adult because you can sit down and do that. But I can imagine little old me who's already being picked on. I would have cried. I'd be like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah. Especially if the book was available at the library. She'd be like, no, because we can get it from the library. Pick something else.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't even think
I went to the library. Like I loved when we had bookmobiles. They would actually come out and nobody would go there. I was like always there. I would stay there until I heard the engine like rev up and I knew they were leaving and I would try not to cry. I'm like, don't go.
No.
It was sad. But yeah, I was on a kick with that until they were out there for like 2 whole years and then the last year they didn't come out there. I was so mad. Oh, good times.
Yeah, I definitely didn't get anything from the Scholastic book fairs. I remember like looking at all the things, but I never got anything.
Same. I was definitely window shopping. I think that's why now that I'm an adult, I have no problem with dropping like $20 at like Family Dollar or going to like some indie bookstore and be like, yo, what do you have? Let's see.
It's definitely a form of self-care now.
Yeah.
It's inner child healing for sure now. To get as many fucking books as I want.
Like so many
book buying ban rarely exists.
The books and the journals. I will buy the books and the journals now. No
question. I have
the
so
stack
many
of journals
journals
next to my bed is insane.
Yeah, those are my comfort journals. Like, don't take my emotional support journals.
Right.
I never got into journals because I have good writing.
Save your money because I have one in every room.
Terrible handwriting. And I always used to feel bad if I had a journal that was really pretty. And I'm like, I can't write in this because like this thing that's so pretty shouldn't have ugly handwriting in it.
No.
Man, we all got it bad because I think the same thing, but it doesn't stop me from buying them. I mean, as my name suggests, I'm writing all the time. So
yeah, I think what Doc Dubs was talking about earlier about how self-care is so important. I think the fact that, we all had, certain experiences as children that weren't favorable, but now that we're older, we can heal ourselves in ways that we couldn't when we were kids. And so I love that, we're buying books when we want to, buying journals, we're finding community with other Black women. So we're just healing those different pains that we had as a child. And I think that goes back to what I was saying before about what I love about being a Black woman, because I don't really know other groups of people that do that. Yeah. I think, not to say that other people don't do it, but I think amongst Black women, I think we're really deep into that.
Mm-hmm. Like we are known for taking care of everyone else except for ourselves. And that's why when people hear about me dropping money like crazy on journals that I probably won't ever write in, and like, stationery, pens, and like headsets and stuff like that, they look at me funny, and I get it. Like, I don't judge them for it because they're probably not used to seeing Black women just like freely do things like that without worrying about someone else. Because I don't.
That's another thing I love about us is how we make something out of nothing every time. All the
time.
And we create from every and anything. We'll just start from blank canvas and we'll come out with the most beautiful piece of art, piece of literature, piece of research, and we create in any possible way. But our entrepreneurship, like the level of entrepreneurship prevalent in the Black community, specifically Black women, I mean, we do that. Like, that is us.
Someone said that too. Like, we are the highest, like, out of any demographic to have like the smartest and the most entrepreneurs, because like at some point we want to go in business for ourselves. Like, we are done being in service of other people, and that includes our finances too. So
and we love getting a degree.
Oh yeah,
we'll get a degree.
upset, break up. Let's go get another degree.
Right. I'm bored. I'm gonna go get my doctorate right
count
quick.
of how many certificates I have. Like Corsi and I we are BFFs. I'm on them all the time. Like, let me,
Listen,
even for writing, I was like, let me see about that specialization. I think I have time to do it. Like this summer, knowing I don't have time, I'm literally going to make the time because I just want it
yeah.
Yeah.
When you look up make a way out of no way,
all the time.
we are right next to that
We are
definition.
unlimited.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I did pull that from Wicked.
I'm obsessed.
The music
with
major
it
in
right
me is like, you got this. We are unlimited.
I still need to watch Wicked.
now. Oh my god.
Yeah, because I know I'm going to bawl my eyes out.
Oh my god. Please.
I'm
I'm
waiting for
slightly
part.
different about musicals. Like I like them, but like
I'm not
okay,
gonna. No, I'm not gonna do
my-
it. But
my
please do.
my
Please.
all-time old favorite has always been Singing in the Rain.
Oh.
So it's not that I'm gonna compare those musicals to that one because that'd be stupid. It's like this is gonna be weird to say. Certain musicals, it's too much singing. Like,
There needs to be a
I
balance.
mean,
Well, I mean, you just don't like musicals
Certain-
then.
No, certain plot
you-
points don't need to be sung. I just certain plot points don't need
He
to be.
had it coming.
I mean, that's, you know,
That's the very definition of a musical, though. So
I know.
You don't like Hamilton?
that's what I was gonna say.
I've
You don't
never
want-
watched Hamilton. I've
Oh
never
my
seen that.
god, I can't.
Because I'm not a huge Lin-Manuel Miranda fan. I will just go
Thank
out
you.
and
There
say
you go.
that.
That-
That's why I
Oh,
have
this
not
is a
seen it.
divisive topic. We should switch.
Right,
gears.
let's move on.
'Cause I love that little Puerto Rico man. I
I'm
really
about
do.
to jump into how much of a rent head I am, and I just know that that's not a musical for everybody. So let's
Right.
just move on.
Lord, fix it. You don't like
Right.
Hamilton, bro.
Let's move on. It's all right.
So let's go
Um,
to we. I think we've all answered like how we feel, how we love, what we love. Excuse me, about being Black and Black women in general. But let's talk about how we want to be addressed, how we want to be handled. Because I know I've spoken to you all about why it is that I call myself a Black American more than I say African American, and it didn't start in a way of me being like defiant, even though most of my character is defiant. For me, when I was learning Black history growing up, I had to seek it myself. So when I learned where the term African American came from and how people were, and it came from a genuine place of wanting to connect back to our ancestral home. However, my family has been in the US, unfortunately, not by choice, since the almost early 1600s, from what I can piece together from my own research that I've been able to do on my family. And because of what the US did to enslaved people by mixing them together through whatever means that they did, by selling off children, by selling off men, by selling off women, and breeding excessively. I have always called myself Black American because that is what America made me. It never gave me the chance or the opportunity to learn those historical through lines to what tribe or what fictitious line you made in the country and called it that. So to me, I am Black American, or what some will call now foundational Black American, because of what my family did, because of how they survived, because of how they moved from sharecropping work to factory work to the Great Migration to where I am today, to be able to even sit here and say, let's see what it'd be like to get multiple degrees and then decide I want to get another one, or sit here and say, I want to read all of these books, knowing full well that my great grandmother didn't learn to read until her 70s. For me to sit here and say, I want to learn to speak someone else's language because English is the only language I've ever known. But and to this point, we can also talk about African American vernacular English if we want to. But I want to learn things outside of what was taught to me by the white American education system. It takes a lot for someone to a Black person to identify as Black and not have a weird asterisk attached to it that says you don't have a culture, that you don't have a voice, or that you don't have a place in the world. So for me, Black American is how I would choose to be addressed.
Mm.
And I don't know if anyone else feels that same way, but that's how
Yeah,
it rolls through in my head.
yeah, I definitely. So for I will say up until college, I exclusively went by African American. I don't really think I thought about being called Black American that much up until college. And then I met this girl. She had one Nigerian parent, one African American parent, and I got this scholarship for students who were from African descent, and she was like, "You're not even a real African. Like, you shouldn't have gotten this scholarship." And so from that moment, I started just saying, "Okay, well, since I'm not African, I'm going to call myself Black American." And after that moment, I use both interchangeably. Um, I do more so lean towards Black American, but if somebody were to refer to me as African American, I wouldn't be upset by it. Um, and it's for a lot of reasons, like just agreeing with everything you said, but also when our ancestors were stolen from the continent, it didn't have that name of Africa. Africa is a name that was made, by the colonizers. And so I'm less hesitant to say African American, but I don't know. It just depends on the day. I don't really get offended by either. Um, but it just, I don't know. I guess I'm still kind of working through it. Um,
And that's valid, and that's more than fine.
but I, I,
Yeah.
I do agree with everything Dr. Debs said about um, why she identifies more with Black American because um, it's really hard. It's especially when you're interacting with other people in the diaspora and
Mhm.
you hear things like, "Oh, well, y'all don't have a culture, or y'all don't have this or that, or you're not really African, or whatever it is." And so it's like it always seems like everybody else can tell us who we are, but we can't define who we are for ourselves. Um, and so I don't really, that's why I like when people
But the thing is,
take
we do
that
have
stand.
a culture.
We
Like,
do. We do
it's
have
been
one. We have
documented.
a
But so when
beautiful
people say
one.
we don't,
But
like,
people still say that to this day, and it's
and
very
that's
disheartening
wild to me.
because the culture that people say we don't have is the culture that allowed so many people to immigrate here.
Yeah.
This is the culture that helped open those doors, and so to me it's a slap in the face, not to me but to my ancestors, and I don't like that. I don't
Yeah.
like people disrespecting my ancestors. It's one thing I don't play about.
Like, too many
Um,
people have fought and died for
exactly,
you to come here and say that and talk out your neck that way is wild to me.
because
But then
I've had that said to my
remember that
face, and it's
people
just
from people that actually have they are actually from Africa. I'm saying Africa as a whole because again there's too many countries there, but like people from like Nigeria, Egypt, wherever, they have that culture, that center that we don't have. But that's not to say that we don't have culture of our own here, because we do have it. It's in the
yeah,
fabric of America. Like Black history is American history. So when people come out their mouths like that,
facts.
it's like, yo, do you hear yourself?
And then especially since like all throughout diaspora, not there's no one of us. I mean, I think maybe Ethiopia is probably the only country
Mhm,
that could say, they weren't really impacted by colonization. But for the
mhm.
most part, everybody throughout the African diaspora has been impacted by colonization. So even if
Yeah.
you are from the continent of Africa, your
Mhm.
culture is has its wounds as well. It has your history
We all have
was
scars.
all impacted. Yeah. So it's like even what you know today as a Nigerian, it's like that's a different identity.
Mhm.
As if you're looking at the individual tribes, whether you're Yoruba or Igbo or whatever. So it's like I wish people would understand that all of us have our things that we're navigating through,
Mhm.
and that doesn't mean that we have to make it harder for each other.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
even with you trying to, navigate how you want to be called, that is your journey.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm glad that no one I'm glad that you're not letting anyone decide that for you.
As of now, I would say I'm very I'm a first generation American, but I feel comfortable right now as I'm continuing to navigate being called Black. I do. So, and again, my journey, just like Summer's journey, just like Doc Dub's journey, just like Whip's journey.
Yeah.
So it's like, just like Trisha's journey, we're all navigating it in our own way. And I think that's the important part, is that we're able to, for ourselves, say what makes us the most comfortable.
Exactly.
Define it for ourselves, and not, as Summer said, have others define it for us.
Mm-hmm. And that's why for non-Black people, I think if you don't know, just ask. Like,
I'll be so simple, but they make it so hard. Like, just ask. Take your stereotypes that you've learned and unpack that, and simply ask the person you're talking to.
Because what I don't like is them being afraid to say Black.
Yeah, because they'll whisper it. I've had that done to me, and I had to ask somebody. I was like, "Why are you whispering it?" Because that was the first. I didn't grow up, like I said, I didn't grow up around other people other than Black people. So when I encountered people for the first time who weren't Black, I didn't have any like filters. I'm like, okay, I gotta ask you, like, why did you whisper that? I gotta know.
They would look around like they're about to drop a secret,
like they're about to say something
some ugly. Dark,
and the girl was just like,
dark,
I always thought that was a bad word, and I was like, well, why did you think that was a bad word?
Why? Because that's who I am. So I'm just not understanding how it's just, how there's a negative connotation or something that,
people know what the bad word is.
Right.
Spending their whole life trying to say the bad word.
Exactly.
So they whisper the words they can say in replacement of the bad words. That's really what they want to say most of the time.
And that's what I think when they whispered. I feel like you're thinking the word that you want to say when you.
So you're whispering the word you can say because you don't want to accidentally say what you want to say. I do think though that there are some well-meaning non-Black people, and that's what I'll say, non-Black personnel that have their hearts and minds in the right place when they do ask questions. I like that genuine approach. So if you do ask questions, be genuine. And if you're just fucking around to fuck around, Google it.
Yeah, just don't come because I'm the kind of person that believes that there are stupid questions. I'm sorry. I'm not an educator. There are stupid questions. In the year of our Lord 2025, there are things that you should know. And if you don't know, don't go asking the first Black person that you see just some, random questions you could ask online.
That's the part that I don't like. Like, why are you still insisting on having us do the work for you when you have a whole computer in your hand?
You have all the resources in front of you. And
there's books that have been written.
And now I'm angry. Now you done pissed me off.
Now I'm annoyed.
Especially if this person is American. Like, we've done lived in this country. To Doc Dub's point about her being able to trace her family roots back to the 1600s, I've gotten back to the 1700s. I'm still working past that, but the point is we've been in this country for a very long time. There has no America without Black people. So we have been side by side with almost any group imaginable in this country, and the fact that the people don't know us just shows to me that people aren't taking the time to know us and that they don't care.
Little disregard for the people around you. And it's like, save me that violin of, I grew up in a small town and the first person I saw that was Black wasn't until I was 10. I don't care.
And I don't believe that either.
I don't either.
I believe people were kept away from Black people because of their family's prejudices, but I do not fully, especially in the South. Black people are as unavoidable as white people.
Right. Exactly.
As a lifelong Southern, it's inevitable that you're going to. And of course, my mom's mother Cheeks is texting me now. It's inevitable. So I just, I can hear, and what's been told to me is like, my dad is okay with you being me being friends with you, but I can't date you. Then why are we even friends? Because he really don't want you to be my friend either.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I'm also tired of? I'm tired. I feel like we might get to this anyway, but you know how people, when they're referring to us in certain situations, they'll say they'll be dancing around saying Black.
Yeah,
they will say person of color. They'll say, they will say every other thing instead of saying
Minority.
who you right, minority. They'll say every other
Marginalized.
thing.
Alert, we're not the minority.
Right. Hello.
And by 2030, we won't be up there.
But even then,
we
can I
won't be
just
a minority.
can I
No
just hop on
minority will.
my soapbox? Was I truly hate the word minority, and the reason why is also because yes, it's true. In America, in the U.S., we will not be the quote unquote minority by 2030, but also it's a very American centralized word
Mhm.
because we are a part of a global community, and borders are arbitrary. And so when we're looking at the world as a whole, most people in the world look like us or other people of color. And so to sit here and call us minorities, there's nothing minor about us. So
Mhm.
like I can go anywhere in the world and find another Black person. And so to me, it's just that word just shrinks us and it makes us seem like we are so much smaller than we actually are. And I don't like that.
That's how they weaponize it. They keep us divided.
Exactly.
It's a whole
That's
nother,
what the patriarchy does.
a whole nother conversation.
They choose words to demean because
Yeah.
when they legally can't, like in Reconstruction or in the days of lynching pre-civil rights, they could in some avenues, but now they only have words to weaponize. This is why, politically it's so easy to weaponize words and make it the antithesis of what it was initially. And that's all they have. It's culture wars at this point.
They want us dumb, and that's
and storming the Capitol on January 6th. But I think if you're so concerned about who's in the White House, be concerned about who built the motherfucker.
Okay.
Enslaved people.
Say that.
All right.
Yet another. Let me not.
So essentially, we're already like deep into this segment too. Why are you so afraid to say or speak directly to Black people? And
guilt.
Yes, guilt. A touch of shame.
And unwillingness to unlearn history because you've been taught it from K through 12 and that's all you know. So you'd rather not question what you've been taught in the past.
Because the minute you question it, you have to recognize, like you have to deal with that reckoning of, okay, this is what happened. This is the fact.
And you also have to ask, why was I taught this bullshit?
It shatters.
The accountability jumps right out the window.
Yeah.
The accountability is gone.
You get defensive and you rage out, essentially crashing out, but more or less the same.
It's Yep. The accountability literally flies out the window. They don't want to.
System, it is very fragile at the heart of it all, like for everyone. And I can't imagine having to wake up and realize the atrocious things my ancestors did to a group of people simply because they were melanated. Like how you have to at some point you have to accept, I'm just going to be dumb about this because if I don't, I have to accept that this is true. And now I have to take a good long hard look in the mirror at the person who I am and dismember basically who I am. That's a horrible thing to have to do. And so that, honestly, I feel like that's their generational curse. Like the fact that you have to wake up every day and choose bigotry. You have to choose to be a certain way because that is easier for you to process than the truth of who you really are.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any empathy for that experience because it's the least that they can do. It's literally the least.
But it's hardest. It's the hardest.
I don't know.
Because that's the first step to their downfall. Like that is the reason why they fight so hard to be who they are. That's the reason why they are the loudest and they are the most honestly morally bankrupt people. They have to be. You have to get rid of your morals and your empathy at that point because the truth behind that would break anybody. And that's why I say it's a generational curse because they have to keep doing it. They have to keep passing it on to their kids because if their kids start questioning them, oh, well, I saw Granny in this black and white photo throwing stones at Ruby Britt. Like that would really shatter their psyche. Like they have to keep the lie going.
Well,
that's
I think
now
I think it would only do that if they viewed us as human.
But they won't. because
And I think
they can't do it.
they don't. They
They
don't
can't do it.
view our
That's why they got here
humanity.
boohoo crying about that plantation being burnt down.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's another reason why they quote unquote struggle with what to call us, because when you call somebody something, when
You give
you have to
meaning.
you have to, yeah, you give meaning to it, but then you also have to recognize their humanity. When you
Yes.
call, and it's like, you know, when people struggle with calling people by, you know, the name that they choose for themselves. It's like, you don't, are
Yeah.
their correct pronouns.
Mhm.
People don't
Like,
want to do that
dare
because
you-
they don't want to have to
how dare you
humanize
make
that
me face
person.
that? Yeah, how dare you make me treat you like a human being when I was just perfectly happy living in my bigoted bliss?
Yeah, those Judeo-Christian values go right out the window.
Immediately.
Because what happened to
Yeah.
do unto others? But it's also not lost on me that the same week this plantation burned down, and good riddance, that a bunch of South African refugees, quote unquote, I'm using air quotes, just come here all of a sudden, like, oh, they couldn't go nowhere else.
Yeah.
And immediately did they get citizenship too? I'm just like,
they might as well had Hulk Hogan in the background with his theme song playing "I'm a Real American" and throwing beer out.
It's just
Fuck
ridiculous. And meanwhile, you know, there are brown and black people the world over who are actually experiencing atrocities that they deserve to be given refugee status over people, white people who are just running from a land they shouldn't even be in. If I should just use, they shouldn't be in anyway, but they're running because what? Their land is getting taken away. It wasn't your land to begin with. Like I just
my country 'tis of thee, these nuts.
Bam.
Fuck it.
I love you.
That's another thing I love about being black. We're so funny. We're funny.
We will cut we will cut up.
As an over emotional person with, you know, rejection sensitivity disorder or whatever the fuck it's called, I gotta laugh because I'm just gonna be crying most of the time.
Right.
It really is how we cope. We just kiki at everything.
We will kiki over everything. Everything will be a joke. We will find a punchline for everything.
Everything.
And we will laugh. We will laugh.
One word sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But we have to. We have to laugh.
We have to. If I don't laugh, I will cry. Like,
and honestly, I love laughing because I know it pisses them off. Like, how dare you be happy? How dare you?
And laughing keeps you younger because it takes more muscles to laugh and smile than it does to frown. So that's you know, that's why black don't crack as well.
Yes, because we win instead.
You know what I'm saying? We just be out here trying to live our best lives, you know, thriving, surviving.
It's still May. It's still masturbation, you know, month. And I think between the masturbation and the laughter, my skin is fucking glowing. Amen.
Yeah. And also hydration.
I almost felt 20 again because I've been getting it in.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yes.
Good times. I went back and listened to a few of my faves, and I'm just like, yeah, this is it for me. I'm just gonna stay in my little corner, my little room, and trying out my new wands and go about life.
Yes. I got these new headphones, and I was like, oh, I think I told y'all last night. I was like, oh, I can go and listen to Vrum's Patreon. So let my Quinn expire a couple weeks ago. You know, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But man, them biannual ones that he's got going on,
different, don't they?
When you with these highfalutin ass headphones, man.
Binaural on some good headphones,
yeah,
fuck you up in a good way.
Yeah. I appreciate a good pair of headphones because them biannuals have me panting.
I am gonna miss Emmanuel though. Has he dropped anything?
I know. Oh, I just went through his playlist. I'm like, sir, if you don't hurry up with that Patreon so I can give you your annual subscription.
Yeah, let me give you these funds. Let me run you these coins.
Here, take my money.
Yeah. Like, so shout out to Emmanuel. Shout out to Rum. You know what I'm saying?
Sir, his Emmanuel with that, what was it, Savor and Wanted, Dead and Alive?
I feel like he was just coming out with hits after hits. Really like New Edition or some shit.
He really
You know
was.
what I
So
mean?
is he the
Tenderoni of the
tenderoni? Okay.
He's the
tenderoni of the week.
tenderoni of the week.
I was going to nominate him. Thank you.
Now give it up for our
Seriously.
tenderoni of the week.
The storytelling
Bingo.
and the way his voice was switched up, I was like, "Sir, this is
Sir.
sir."
Sir.
It's giving brown chicken bow cow.
Did you say brown chicken, brown cow?
Brown chicken bow cow.
That's what I heard.
You heard me. I'm very articulate, or at least I've been told that. You heard me very clearly.
All this to say, friends, that we will choose joy at every fucking possible opportunity.
Here.
Whether you say Black or speak directly to Black people, regardless, we are just going to find joy.
Mhm.
Joy.
Because I think white people are they just got to figure out their mess themselves.
Yes.
And we're just over here
We over here
putting our
two-
boots. We're putting our boots to the ground.
We over here two-stepping with our wands out. Like,
All right, so I was about to say, how do you all feel about the term ally and who gets to call themselves one?
I hate it. I hate it.
Thanks for singing it for me.
You're welcome. I don't know
I
why
knew it was
sang
going to be
It was
polarizing.
on my spirit.
Yeah, I knew it was just going to be polarizing from jump because I think a lot of people give themselves that moniker, that title, because they feel like I might know something about this person and I might consider them a friend. So therefore, I can advocate for them. However, to me, and I'm only speaking as me, does that person call you a friend also? Does that person know that you stand up for them, whether they're in front of you or in a space, or you're in a space where they're not in? Do you, every time you say something to stand up for them, come back to tell them, oh, so-and-so was saying such and such and whoop-de-whoop and whatever about you, so I checked them on it? Do you realize then that person might then internally go, what made them feel so comfortable to say that in front of you in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, people who consider themselves to be allies never check that part, or they overcorrect someone else in that same sphere, where the person will do something really good, really grounded and sound, but then they'll be like, oh, well, did you even ask them if they wanted you to do this? And then that person tries to go and overcorrect, and you're like, you did a thing on your own. You didn't come ask me for help. So why are you now asking me if it's okay that you did a thing that's supposed to support me without me knowing you did a thing that was supposed to support me?
Right.
So
I think that's the other side of allyship too, is that, you know, they're so willing to be an advocate when we don't need them as an advocate. And then when they are attacked as phony, maybe, then they want our support. Like, that's not how this works.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't see that you're genuine from jump, you're definitely not an ally to me, first of all. Second of all, you called yourself an ally and then said who you're an ally for. That's not how that works.
Yeah, we talked about this, and
an ally. That's what I want.
Right.
We talked about without saying it.
I was gonna say we talked about this, and I know, like, I feel like at the end of the day, after thinking about it even more after our conversation, I'm definitely not just. I wasn't to begin with, but I'm definitely not using that word to call you. You know what I'm saying? If you're doing the work, you're doing the work, but you're not getting any kind of label from me. That just goes from me.
I agree with that.
I'm not giving you a label. I'm not giving you. I don't want to give you
yourself an ally. Yeah, calling yourself an ally just to get a gold star or get the gratification, or you feel like that's the bare minimum. Treating people with human decency and respect is the bare fucking minimum. If you wouldn't want that from your partner, why would your friends want that from you?
Right.
Why would people who you claim to support want your bare minimum when that should just be
And I think
I-
that's why they like the term allies, because they want to absolve themselves. They don't want to be like those other white people.
And it
But
looks like that in this community in particular. That's what they're looking for, is that gold star for some reason. It just feels like that's what they're seeking.
I highlighted a black VA on my stickers. Love me. Like, no, girl, that's not how this works.
No.
White people need to get comfortable with the fact that we all are growing up in a white supremacist patriarchal society, and that it impacts us all. The stench of that sticks to all of us, but to them even more so, because they benefit from those systems. And until they do the work to dismantle those systems and be the ones at the forefront of those movements, instead of waiting for Black women to come up and challenge the status quo, none of them have the right to be called ally. Because the ally is not getting online and making a Instagram story, or a little post on Instagram, or just on social media. It shouldn't be you messaging Black people that I'm not going to say that you're friends with, because everybody got a Black friend all of a sudden and nobody knows you. But it's like,
friends.
How many of us have been?
Thank you.
They just need to do the work. Do the work.
That's what it is.
And don't worry about a label.
Do the work and do the work for your own reward. Stop looking for people to validate you for doing something that is basic human decency.
Bare minimum, as Trisha said. Bare fucking minimum. And I'm sorry, it's wonderful if you're doing the work. Great. Keep doing it. Keep making sure you're speaking up and, check in other people publicly, privately, and otherwise. But don't be seeking out the validation, the gold star. Don't seek that out, because it's very recognizable when you do.
Yeah,
and don't think you're speaking for Black people, because that's when you get into white savior territory. We don't need to speak for us.
And on top of that, there's the point of you're going to be like a white savior complex type deal. Also, don't say you're an ally if you're still prioritizing your proximity to whiteness, because now you're talking out of both sides of your neck. If you're not saying what you're going to stand on business on with your people of color friends or your Black friends, say them to the white people you hang out with too. That's who you need to be talking to, not me. Talk to your homies.
Yeah, right. And don't just make up friends, because
that's even more transparent. Like, we
that's
can see
really
that.
weird. I have one Black friend. Like, no, they count you as a friend?
And you look on their profile, and there's literally nobody they're following that's Black.
No. The only time I hear them say Black is when I'm an ally and I want Black people to shine. I'm like, but where are your Black friends?
Where are your Black friends at?
But what gets me is that white women in particular, they can understand misogyny. They can understand, like, when a man says, oh, well, I have a sister, I couldn't possibly, be a misogynist. They understand that that's BS. But when they come out with their full chest and say, oh, I can't be a racist, I have a Black friend, they don't see the parallels to that, or how, like, that's what gets me. They don't see. That's why I like to, when I was in my explaining days, I would tell, like, the white friends that I used to have, well, think about it this way. Like, you are a woman. You exist in the patriarchy. The men say these types of things to you. Now, take out the man and put in a white person. And then they would understand, like, oh, okay, this is similar. Like, all of that's the thing about white supremacy. The systems, even though they are many, they all follow the same blueprint. It's not that hard to see the patterns once you, like, actually look into it, but they don't actually look into it.
You hit the nail on the head with that one. I think a lot of people don't think about the things that are also affecting them alongside us at the same time, which is how we ended up in this current political situation in the US. You thought one thing because you weren't paying attention. And then for that thing to be found to be not true, you then turn to Black people and Black women who have deserved this rest for so very long, and in that deserved rest, you say, well, where are you? Where are you? What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm sitting down because I've been standing this entire time. I've been in front of you this entire time. And in front of me have been the police this entire time. And you standing in front of me for once is somehow an issue or a problem. For you standing in front of me means you are only protecting you, but I need to go stand over there as well, but I need to take the brick and you need to get the water from the police officer who's letting you walk by. I need to be the one that stands to the side and says to gets in the face of the police officer. I need to be the one that stands in front of the reporter. I need to be the one that's doing all of the work actively while you stand to the side passively, saying to your friends, your other people of color that you hang out with, your other LGBTQAI plus individuals that you hang out with. But the rest of us are all over here. Black women, Black trans women, we face a continuous uphill battle daily. And we've been seeing it happen in our faces for a very, very long time. But in this last, when did Centers come out? April, second week of April?
April
week of
22nd.
Yeah, sometime around Easter.
April 22nd.
We saw it with Centers when that came out and what people were doing in centering themselves versus centering the Black story that was being told. We've seen it in the mammification of the character of Annie. We've seen it in the statue that's in Times Square in New York and what they're saying about that woman and calling her masculine for presenting in a way that she naturally presents. So it's almost as if we have to present perfectly and in smaller bodies also at the same time, but standing in front of you in order for you to stand up for us. So, and that goes internal and external, but it's a reason why I won't call other people of color and white people allies because they say that they are. I don't know you. I don't know the work that you've done, and I don't need to know it. All I need to know is, are you showing up? Are you actively speaking about this? Or are you waiting until something happens to talk about it? And like these little bookish spaces, you'll find that is what happens. They wait for something to happen before they're like, give me all your Black book recommendations. They waited for Centers to come and be like, I want to read more books like this with Black vampires centered. And even Quinn did the same thing on their TikTok where they centered the Irish story and not the Black story, which if you saw the movie, you wouldn't have done that. So it's a weird thing that certain people that consider themselves allies do, where they pick and choose which parts they want to be allies to. And that is the reason why I will always take the step back when someone says, oh, I'm an ally to you. No, you're not. You're an ally to the people that you know in your life. Maybe.
They just want to look good. They don't want to get their hands dirty. That's all. That's why I don't like the term. I don't. It doesn't make me feel safe because even Dr. King he had something to say about the the white moderates, and that's those are the main people that call themselves ally. They don't want to do the work. They just want to be applauded for doing something, no matter what it is. Like those black squares. I was just thinking about those the other day.
Oh, those are annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you saw how quickly people's content went right back up, like the day after or something. Whether it was the day after or hours later, the content went right back up. There were no resources. There was no
no continued progression into the work. Like a lot of people are like, well, how long were you expecting me to leave that there? How long were you expecting me to do and say these things? There's no time limit on being a good person. There's no time limit on showing up.
Yeah.
Right.
You do it every day. If you genuinely want to do it, you do it every day.
And that honestly separated who was really for, who was really who cared enough about what was happening from me. Like, you could really see it right then and there if they weren't following it up, if they didn't include resources, if they did nothing but post a square and then move on the next day. Like, you knew what they were about. They showed their ass.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we've reached our final segment. This is usually where our tenderoni of the week goes, but we already gave it to Emmanuel earlier. But the final thing I'm going to ask you all about is Black listener audios. How do you feel about them? Because for me, they're a bit of a mixed bag. And it's not because of who's creating them or who's writing them or who's had input on how to write them from Black women in the audio space, but I am not a person who likes affirmations. So those are automatically like a no for me. If an audio is going to mention Blackness in any way, more often than not, it's going to be like a smaller characteristic of Blackness. Sometimes universal, sometimes not. But I think they don't do very much beyond giving the one audio once in the blue moon. And again, back to the point I made about allyship, when something happens. So I want to know how you all feel about Black listener audios or audios dedicated specifically to Black women, because I think those can be two separate things.
I agree. I think they are in some cases two separate things. As far as audio's concerned, the ones that I gravitate towards are the ones specifically for Black listeners, even though it's not explicitly said they're for Black listeners, you just know. For instance, there's one with Chris Yames on that app. I think it's called Poetry Slammed. And it's so Love Jones coded, like it's not even funny. And it's not one that I think was, I mean, I don't want to speak for the creator, but I don't think that they went in there with this one saying, yeah, this one's going to be for the Black listeners. But it's just so coded, and it scratches all the sweet spots in my brain. And then there are other ones that other creators have made that specifically are for Black listeners, and it hits different each time. So I appreciate it sometimes, and I really appreciate it when the voice actors look for critique and they are willing to accept critique. I really appreciate that more. Honestly, sometimes I appreciate that more than the audio. So it just varies.
I think both have their place in this space. I didn't mean to rhyme. I was trying to find another word, but
Yeah.
I rhymed anyway. But especially given that, white women are centered. And so I definitely think that it is important to have audios that center Black women or not even just for Black women, but Black people in general.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not, it comes right out and says that, or it just has that vibe. Especially since, most audios aren't catered to us, and it's very glaringly obvious that they're not. And so I think the representation should just be glaringly obvious as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because if somebody could openly center white women, even if they're not saying it, a VA should be able to openly center Black women. My thing is the genuine aspect of it. Is the creator being genuine? Or even if they're Black themselves, because I listened to an audio from a Black creator and it didn't feel genuine. I just definitely think that, I don't know, the lack of genuineness it's something so easy to pick up on. And so if somebody is not feeling what they're saying and they're just making it just to make it, or because something happened, like I pick up on that, and it's like, okay, you could have just kept this in the drafts. Like, I didn't need this.
Or just keep
Yeah.
it to the audience that you clearly
Clearly
are
are
in
addressing.
service to, because it's
Mhm.
not Black listeners.
I feel that
Mhm.
so deeply. I feel it the same way with the curve audios. Like it's in the same realm. Like I know you're not feeling. Like you can tell when they're not feeling it. You can. So yeah, y'all could keep that. I want to hear it.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a weird, thin, almost fine line between did they make this because they wanted to, or did they make it because
They had a quota.
They had a
Yeah.
quota. They had some, and then I also even I struggle also because even when they're thinking of, even when they're creating, you, I know they're not thinking about this body. You know what I'm saying? I just have that. I have that struggle as well. They're not thinking about this skin. They're not thinking about this body. So it's you don't know what they're actually drawing from, and you can definitely tell. Like, and I've dealt so much with, being. I feel like we all have, but we've dealt with being bullied for our skin tone. Colorism is very prevalent everywhere, and we talked about this earlier. And I just feel like if I have the slightest hint within listening to the audio that you aren't fully into it, you're not thinking, I'm not going to be into it the way you think I'm going to be into it. I don't know. Like you really can tell when people are not being genuine with it, like someone was saying, and that's what makes it more difficult to believe it. You know what I mean? That's what makes it harder to receive it. So
Yeah.
Yes,
Black listeners are not a charity case.
when I can hear the lack of genuine like excitement in the words that you're choosing, and I know the sentence structure, I know what I'm supposed to be feeling, but when I just feel cracked lips, like I'm out. Like you need to stop at this point. Just stop, because now you're embarrassing yourself and I'm uncomfortable. I didn't sign up to be part of this experiment.
right.
I'm here to get off, to unwind, and you done ruined it.
Right.
So
yeah.
just
And that's
stop.
why when Doc Dubs was saying she doesn't prefer the affirmations, I feel like I would prefer the affirmations over, you know what I mean?
Yeah, if I had to choose,
If I have to choose, I
I would
prefer
choose a
the
book.
affirmations. Or yeah, exactly. I would choose the affirmations over somebody saying that they're my Cocoa Puff looking skin, and
Yeah.
I would
Oh,
prefer
my
that
Nubian
more.
queen.
My
Grace,
Nubian
like in the
queen.
beginning, I would show grace. I was like, you know what? Maybe they're not used to describing someone
No,
that they're
no,
trying
Or
to
people say, "Oh, my
I
alabaster prince." They're not going to want that.
no.
Yeah, then you
My
should
lord
do
of the
research.
Caucasus Mountains. They're not going to want that.
The
You know what I
mountains
mean?
of
Like,
coffee.
no,
the day I hear somebody describe my skin as Cocoa Puff,
Cocoa
anything,
Puff.
I'm
I am
out.
throwing my
it's
headphones.
happened.
I'm
And
not
that's my thing. Like
okay.
if you're not gonna be and I said this before, like I told you about the one book. I didn't even read it. I just heard about it. But there was a person that wrote a Black character and they described their skin as ochre.
Mm.
And I was like, did you just like look at your kid's Crayola box and like look at all the brown shades and pick that
Why?
one just so you couldn't say
Yeah.
brown?
Did you go to
I
Lowe's and get the little paint swatches? And
Simple
I
as
hate I
exactly
hate
brown.
dark skin being compared to food. It is my pet
yeah,
peeve.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
a
like being called chocolate anything. Don't do that. Stop it. I
And
no,
was
that's the
here
thing.
before
Only my
chocolate.
granddad could do
the
that.
vehicle
I
to
agree.
show that the character is an asshole. You shouldn't be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
no.
Yeah.
I feel no food
Because
comparison.
I feel like this might, I don't know, this might sound a little hoteppy, but I don't know. I just don't like being compared to things that can be bought and sold.
Yeah.
And that's just a little bit,
That
I don't
might
like
be
that.
another patriarchal thing that they do, because
Right.
we can't be bought and sold,
Yeah,
but
they
our
want to
images
ensure that we
and
are a
likenesses.
commodity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get
Don't call
that.
me chocolate. I just,
Like I've seen people like, oh, my little chocolate morsel. Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, I taste good, but I don't taste like chocolate, homie. You're gonna be disappointed.
Yeah.
It goes back to the whole theme. Like y'all can't say black. It's just I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't call
can,
me a
you can
prude.
eat me, but don't eat me like no Snickers bar, dog.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Oh goodness.
Leave the stereotypes, the weird fetishizing language, leave that at the door.
Yeah.
Because you don't see me when you do that. I feel, especially like in an audio, you're not seeing the listener. You're not showing qualities about the listener that are endearing. You're literally just hawking parts.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that doesn't appeal to me. And maybe
Another
that's why I have weird
podcast.
VAs, and that's why I have VAs that I avoid.
Because that's the one thing I think we've said it before, and either it's like either posts we've created for the BQC or just in a group chat in general. But you're okay with saying pale this and pale that and pink this and pink that, but
Or her ass cheeks were red after I smacked it. Like, come on, bro.
Mm-hmm.
exactly, like, but for some reason, other shades escape you.
Mm.
And I'm not saying that like there aren't lighter skinned black people that turn slightly reddish or, flush. That's not a thing that I'm saying. What I'm saying is you find your, I don't want to say comfort because it's not a comfort word, but you find your ability to speak on the bodies of non-black people in varied ways. You use all kinds of words to describe their skin and what they look like. And to go as far as the whole like milkmaid stereotype, or even black women who choose or would like to participate in the cottagecore aesthetic. People will say that they don't fit that aesthetic because they don't fit the milkmaid frame. So you find other words and other things to put whiteness to, but then the moment black people are like, oh, I'm into that too, I do those things too, it's like, why would I include you in this space? Why would I even think about you in this space to give you the words to say this black woman is here as well?
And
I would like to talk about her as well.
They want to be in every space that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be in every space we're in, but not allow us in their spaces, which is
But the thing is, they don't even own the spaces that they're in.
Okay.
Right.
They colonized the space. We were here first.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, fuck out of here. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry, because that's the truth.
Like
we're here unapologetically. You have to remember that. Why are you apologizing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry for being sorry. Okay, no, it's so frustrating because exactly what you just said.
And that's why when I read,
occupy it. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's why when I read, I pick up books that are written by either black women or black men that center black people. And as I sit here staring at my bookshelf, even my bookshelf, it's the most diverse bookshelf I've seen in anyone's house. Like I've seen people with only stacks of like Emily Henry books or Sarah J. Maas or Rebecca Yarros. And those are the only books I ever see be recommended for certain types of things. And I'm like, you've never read N.K. Jemisin, you've never read Fonda Lee. What about Kennedy Ryan? What about what's her name? Kaylin Barron, I think. She writes like YA fantasy. Tracy Dion. R.F. Kuang, or even Aparna Verma. Like, you continue to recommend the same exact books by the same exact people, Tia Williams, or if I'm like Jessie Q. Sutanto, who literally her books got me back into reading, and
even if you want some childish smut, you can just read Anna Huang,
right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
So I'm like, you're recommending the same things over and over again, and then when it comes time for you to read anything else, you don't do it unless something's gone wrong or it's a heritage month. So I'm just like, and this circles back to Black Listener Audios, I promise, in the same exact way, where it's like, you don't leave the space that you know you should leave there. And whether we're talking about Black Listener Audios or Latinx audios or even Asian audios, there's so much there. There's so much there you could do culturally across the board for all of that. But even with Black people specifically, the audio can center Black American women. It can center Black Caribbean women. It can center those of us from the continent. It can center Black British women. There's so many facets and aspects to all of us that to try and this is the reason why the affirmations bother me, is because it boils down to strength always and never softness. It stays at the surface level of, well, you're so strong for the things you do, you're so like capable, and it furthers the strong Black woman stereotype versus having us be able to live lives that are not so struggle heavy. And then not to discount the struggle in any way, shape, or form, because plenty of us, like my mom used to call us upper, lower, middle class. Like a dollar could tip us in either direction. So we were nobody's, stable. But there is this aspect of some of those audios where it's always centering the strength of the Black woman and not her and her softness, her heart, her soul, none of that.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't gravitate towards them when they're posted on any platform. Yeah, so that's the breakdown for me in that case.
I completely agree with that. I've had to tell people, like, don't call me strong. I don't identify with that, because people act like strength is an inherent characteristic of being Black, when no.
Yeah.
This is a reaction to the environments that we are forced to live in, and the people that that we're forced to deal with day in and day out. We have to be strong. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. And so, but we're also human. We're also still women, or, whatever our identities are. And within those identities, we deserve to be able to be soft. We deserve to be able to be safe. We deserve to be able to relax and imagine, be able to take off everything and leave it at the door and be able to listen to these audios without having to, be pulled into a box that says that we can only be strong, and that's the only reason why people love us or desire us is because of these qualities that they say that we possess. And it's like, I don't know. At the end of the day, like, yes, I'm always going to be Black, but I'm also a woman, and I deserve to be able to feel like that.
Right.
This is why I write my own smut. Exactly. Because I appreciate a hard, rough sex session, but most of the time, a bitch just wants to be made love to. You feel me? So that's why I write all these dualities, in my short stories or in the handful of scripts I've written. This is really why I appreciate the BQC scripts that have come out, because they show that Black women are not a monolith.
Right.
That we aren't always strong, and that has been a really bad denotation or really bad notation on us as a entity or as people. And it shows that we're just as capable and are just as worthy of the love that is prioritized for white women. And that's what makes me, and honestly, before my Quinn subscription expired, I was only listening to BQC audios anyway.
Yeah. I don't want anybody saying that we can't fully embrace our softness and that we can't live and thrive in the softness, that we crave, that we desire. I'm a cottagecore whore. Okay.
It's so fucking cute, dude. The milkmaid dresses.
Come on. I'm a cottage
really cute in those.
Or I look so good in those. Okay. And then also give me a cabin, you know what I'm saying? Out on a beautiful
I would love to be a woodland fae with just like my whole house, just a goddamn library. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've always wanted. And maybe be a hobbit because I'm already 5'4".
Maybe,
Aw.
like I just want to live in a tree or some shit.
I just want to be
sometimes.
barefoot and have a second breakfast.
Can I
and
frolic? Can I
befriend a
Second
wizard?
breakfast will
And
be
I
nice.
befriend a wizard. That's all
can
I
I
want.
can I just frolic for like an hour? I just want to frolic in some fucking
And I
flowers.
already love Short King. So just give me all the hobbits.
Just all of it. And
Also, where are the black hobbits?
right. I just don't understand why we can't have, why it's not synonymous. You know what I'm saying? Like why we have to be only synonymous with the hard and the rough and the being beaten down to be built back up. And why does it have to be that? I want to stay and live in that soft sweetness. And I feel like, and I agree, Trisha, this is why I write what I write. This is why, and I'm unapologetic about it. It's gonna always be some sweet loving shit from me. Like I will always give you that, and I'm always going to, continue to draw that in because we deserve that. We deserve it above everything.
And
we
who
deserve it
doesn't
just as
love a
much.
slutty? And who doesn't love a slutty golden retriever man? Like,
Come on
honestly,
now.
shout out.
Come on.
Draft. Yep. Like we need it. We have to have it.
We deserve it. And we it should not be one particular group receiving that softness. I'm going to second that as well. And one group should not be the sole proprietors of the softness.
It goes back to humanizing people, because if they see us outside of that strong, being broken down to be built back up, then we're no longer that image. We're no longer that mule. Now they have to see us as people, and that's why that's too.
Yeah, until I get my reparations.
Okay.
Y'all amen. As people, I want 40 acres, a mule, and $2 million,
and a cabin in the woods.
Well, I'm gonna build the cabin with the money. They ain't got to do that. I'm gonna build it to spec, just like I want it. Because if I take what they give me, it's not gonna be what I want.
No, don't give me a mule. Give me something that can procreate.
I could put a mule will till the field and whatnot. Give me 40 acres and a Highland cow.
And a Highland cow.
Yeah. Or 10 to start the farm. Ooh. And a kilted man. Actually,
now we're getting there.
So what's the takeaway that we want listeners to leave here with? What do we want them to know about Black women, Blackness, and how to go forward?
We are not a monolith. That goes without saying, but we are not a monolith.
Unpack your uncomfortableness before you start speaking to Black people.
Don't call yourself an ally. Just don't.
Yeah.
Just don't. That's perfect. Just like saying no to drugs. Well, it depends on the drugs, but it's like saying no to drugs.
Just say no to calling yourself an ally.
It's like meth, not even once.
And if you doing the work is contingent on Black people accepting you or giving you props, then you're in it for the wrong reason.
We don't want it. Bye.
And if you are an ally, I don't need you to say it. It's like those people who record themselves doing good deeds, like paying for the groceries for someone in front of them. Like, if you have to display it, you've already shown to me that you're not authentic in your discourse. So I can't credit you. Also, if you are going to be a vocal person, I need to see that you have some Black friends, and y'all need to go and get queso and margaritas together more than once.
Do not use the strong woman acquaintance. Don't use the strong woman label. Like, allow us to embrace our softness. Allow us to sit in our softness.
Amen.
Allow Black women to be whoever they want to be.
Let us be whoever let us be.
We are not going to be your, whatever Black friend you saw in your favorite TV show. Not all of us are going to be like that.
Yeah, this is not the Legend of Beggar Vance. There will be no magical Black people here. We're magical, but not for that one white person.
Not for you.
Not for you.
And the one thing I will say, if you love someone who identifies as Black, love them the way you'd want to be loved, and do not stop them from celebrating their Blackness, because it needs to be celebrated. And you can't really say you're in a relationship with one Oh, the black person with one. My God, I sound like him. You can't say you are in a relationship with someone who identifies as black and very proud if you see them as random stereotypes or you haven't unpacked your internalized bullshit. Just because you like black vagina does not mean you like black women. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And the same goes if you're in a relationship with a black man.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Just because you suck a black dick doesn't mean you're gonna support that black dick if he gets stopped by the police.
And above all, don't be afraid to say black.
It's
Yes.
not a bad thing.
It's
Not a bad word. Because if you could
It's
say
not a
white
curse.
with your full chest,
Say
If you
black
can say,
black.
with a
if you can
capital
say,
B.
if you can say Voldemort Zelensky, you can say black. I don't
You
care.
can say Galifianakis. You can say black.
Yeah.
And pronounce
Yeah.
black women's names right. And if you don't know it,
Yeah. And if you don't want to pronounce it right, just don't say shit. Don't say anything.
Don't say shit.
Don't try to segue into, oh, I'll just call you so and so. No, because what I'm
No.
going to
No.
call you is dismissed.
call
No,
them
because
by their
you,
name.
you can't call me something I don't agree to.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's
Like-
your colonizing grandpappy rising from the dead.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not a Toby situation. I am Kunta Kinte always. Just chop off my foot and get going.
Yep. So my last thought is going to be when you're speaking directly to black people, capitalize the B in the word black.
Amen.
Also, yes.
Because I'm going to say it to you every single time you do it, whether it's a post or reel, in person, you've written something to me, you commented something, and you're speaking directly to black people. In this case, we're talking about black women specifically. Capitalize that B, or else I will not respond to you at all.
Oh, I'll
And don't-
respond to them with an asterisk by the B and then an asterisk by whatever else they spell, because usually if they don't capitalize the B in black, they've missaid two.
Mm-hmm.
Another
you gotta
thing I
correct all of it.
want to say real quick.
Or there.
Not every black person is African Americans. Don't use
Right.
it. Just say black.
Right.
Mhm.
Just say black.
And a
But
lot
if
of
you're black, you're not
people-
African American. You get called African American and you get offended deeply. I'm a side eye you too. All right. That's all I got to
Right.
say. Because I've had that happen.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't gotta be mad. It's like, I'm not gonna be mad because I've gotten called, I don't know, Nigerian once, and I didn't get mad. I just politely corrected them. Like, no, I'm this. That's all you gotta do.
Right.
You know, it's always
Exactly.
Nigerians that want me to be Nigerian. And I don't know why, because I'm cute. I just take it for a win.
All right,
I look like y'all. Okay, it's fun. Cool. I need to know where my cousins are at anyway.
that is true. That happens to me a lot, actually.
Exactly. You know, it's just
Mhm.
Also, the last thing, say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud.
I'm black and I'm proud.
I'm
Black
black
and
and
I'm
I'm proud.
proud. Black and I'm proud.
So we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you all for listening. Don't be afraid, especially in this episode in particular, to hop in the comments and discuss. Because
Yeah.
this isn't just an episode for us to talk about or vent. I'm doing air quotes again. You can't see my fingers. Vent about how we feel. We want actual interaction. So if you want to participate, however, in that participation, don't center yourself. So this has been a WBQC production. Thank you for joining us.